future is for the party, particularly as you've had leaders over the past few months talking about the importance of the party coming out of this national conference, having shown a sense of unity. You've had Fikile Mbalula just last month, essentially using the strong words that are for the party. It is renewal and unity or death. And then those are very strong words. The role of bringing about unity in the party. In the last elective conference, unity meant something completely different. It really was about who the kingmaker was going to be. What does unity look like in this conference?
Unity within the ANC it's a very interesting topic, because some within the ANC say that there cannot be unity at all costs. You cannot unite with those whom have plundered the resources of the state. You cannot unite with criminals, for instance. Those are some of the issues former President Mbeki always emphasizes within the NEC meetings of the ANC. When we speak to our sources, he says that unity within the party cannot come at all costs, that you cannot unite with those whom are seemingly corrupt. You cannot unite with those whom are not genuine members of the African National Congress, at times calling on the true and genuine members of the ANC to rise up and defend their organization. For instance, you look at the president of the ANC, since the 2017 Nasrec conference, he's preached unity amongst the party, but the unity, the ANC has always been at loggerheads with each other. You go to the President Cyril Ramaphosa's address at the COSATU conference heading up to the 2019 general elections, where Dumo Dlamini was leaving as COSATU president and Zingo Solosi was being voted in, and how he said that the ANC was fighting amongst each other, against each other, heading towards a crucial election in 2019, pretty much firing against his political detector and nemesis, who was still the Secretary General of the ANC and not suspended at the time, Ace Magashule. At the backdrop of that fiery address by the ANC president at the COSATU Congress in 2019, you had that meeting that was in the Southern Sun Hotel in Maharani in Durban, which was allegedly a meeting to plot against the incumbent president of the ANC, where former President Jacob Zuma was there, Supra Muhammad Pilo, Ace Magashule. You also had Meho Matuba, the former Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, who was part and parcel of that meeting. So it speaks to how divisions within the party have been exacerbated from that 2017 conference. You go further to one of those NEC meetings where the ANC president, we were allowed to take the closing address, and how he spoke about divisions rearing its ugly head again in the governing party. That was during that period where the ANC was suspending its Secretary General, Ace Magashule, who was given 2 months to consult with former leaders of the ANC in order for him to step aside, because he had been legally charged for the asbestos case amounting to about over 256 million rands in the Free State. He refused to step down. Ultimately, a decision was taken by the ANC that all of those who refused to step aside would be suspended by the governing party, which led to his suspension. At the time, other leaders of the ANC were also facing the step aside. You go to KwaZulu-Natal, Zandile Kumete, who was also legally charged. That further deepened divisions with the ANC. At some point, the provincial secretary then of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Mdumiseni Ntuli, said that they would no longer be allowing leaders of the ANC to step aside in their province, because there were no clear guidelines on the step-aside resolution of the ANC, which then prompted the National Executive Committee to further fine-tune those step-aside guidelines to essentially say that all of those whom are charged must step aside. All of those facing allegations can remain within the party, but if you are formally charged, you have to step aside. And that's when ultimately other provinces starting adopting those step-aside guidelines, because you had Denim Caesar in Limpopo, you had Florence Rezelani, who had stepped aside for 2 years without being formally charged, and that became a disadvantage to them politically. You go to KwaZulu-Natal, where the step-aside resolution was not fine-tuned. Leaders of the party who had been charged were contesting leadership positions. It was Mandla Msibi in Mpumalanga who was charged, who contested a leadership position, which prompted the ANC president in that conference to say that delegates of the ANC have to introspect on why they are electing leaders of the party who are formally charged, which speaks against this resolution to try and cleanse the governing party from wrongdoing within the party, which prompted the party, after Zandile Kumete was elected as regional chairperson of eThekwini region, to say that all those who are charged can no longer contest leadership positions in the party, which the province of Limpopo felt as if the step-aside resolution was being used to purge against dissenting voices within the governing party, which ultimately culminated in Denim Caesar in Limpopo, unfortunately not being able to contest the provincial secretary position within that province. So that is why the step aside resolution has been seen by some as being at the center of the divisions within the party.
And it's going to be a big talking point as well. Hopefully today, if the party is able to stick to the program, considering the delays, the step aside rule, part of the scheduled discussion around amendments to the party's constitution, and that part of the agenda there, looking at constitutionalizing and regularizing the temporary suspension of the step aside rule. It's part of the agenda that will be discussed by the party at the conference. And of course, Samkelo Maseko is staying with us. He's going to step out for now, but we certainly will be bringing you more coverage. And nobody can dissect the ANC inner workings much like our very own Samkelo Maseko. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's head back to you, Desiree, in studio.
Absolutely, Naledi. So many conversations to be held around the 55th conference of the African National Congress. My colleague Diabo Sito is outside the conference and will be talking to small business people, vendors who are also hoping to make a buck from this, but only after this break.
Okay, roll A. Clear my key. Okay, C.